Now, before we go any further, I need to address something that is going to sound almost too obvious to say out loud, and yet here we are because apparently it needs to be said. Stop taking privacy advice from the same platforms that are profiting from your ignorance. When Instagram rolls out a new privacy setting with a cheerful little animation and a friendly pastel color scheme, that is not a gift. That is not a company suddenly developing a conscience. When a terms of service update arrives written in plain language for once, sounding almost reasonable, almost human, ask yourself, who paid the copywriter who made it sound that way? These companies have entire departments, entire floors of buildings full of extremely intelligent people, whose sole job is to make the erosion of your privacy feel comfortable, feel optional, feel like something you are choosing freely. The cartoon is not your friend explaining the rules. The cartoon is the magician's other hand, the one you are not supposed to be watching. Real protection does not come with a cute mascot. It comes from understanding that in this particular game, the house always wins unless you stop playing by their rules entirely. Here is something the engineers who built these platforms will never say out loud in a press conference. The notification ping you just felt compelled to check, the scroll you cannot seem to stop, the way you keep refreshing even when you know nothing new is there. None of that is accidental, not even close. Former insiders from the biggest platforms in the world have sat in rooms and described in chilling detail how teams of psychologists, neuroscientists, and behavioral economists were hired for one singular purpose: to find the precise psychological triggers that make human beings unable to look away. They studied slot machines. They studied addiction cycles. They studied the exact variable reward patterns that keep rats pressing levers until they collapse from exhaustion. And then they built those same patterns directly into the apps sitting on your phone right now. The pull to refresh gesture, modeled after a slot machine lever, the unpredictable flood of likes on a post, engineered dopamine manipulation. This was not a side effect. This was the blueprint. And the most disturbing part is not that they built it. The most disturbing part is that it worked on almost every single person on Earth, including the ones who were absolutely certain it would never work on them. Right now, as you watch this video, there are approximately 47 different data points being collected about you. Not by some shadowy government agency in a thriller movie, but by apps you willingly downloaded, platforms you cheerfully signed up for, and devices you paid good money to own. Your location, your heart rate, your sleep schedule, the exact moment you stopped scrolling to stare at that one ad for 3 seconds longer than everything else. They know you skipped breakfast. They know you are anxious about money. They know you are lonely at 2 in the morning because that is when you open the app and do not put it down for 90 minutes. And here is the part that should make you set your phone face down on the table right now. They do not just know these things about you. They use these things against you, algorithmically, systematically, and extraordinarily profitably, every single second of every single day. Welcome to the attention economy, where you are not the customer, you are the commodity, and business has never been better. Let us talk money, because this is where it gets ugly. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, none of them charge you a single cent. Feels generous, right? Wrong. It is the oldest con in the book. When you sign up for free, you are not receiving a gift. You are entering a transaction, except nobody told you what you are trading away. Here is how it actually works. You scroll, you click, you linger on certain posts, you type out a message and delete it. Every single one of those micro-behaviors gets recorded, analyzed, packaged and sold to advertisers who want inside your head. Your attention, your insecurities, your desires, your political leanings, all neatly bundled into a data profile worth more than you realize. You are not the customer. You are the inventory. Let's talk about the algorithm, that mysterious invisible hand deciding what fills your screen every single morning. Here is the thing nobody at these companies wants to say out loud. The algorithm was never built to show you what you want. It was built to show you what makes you forget to blink. Outrage keeps you scrolling longer than joy. Fear outperforms inspiration every single time. These platforms ran the experiments, checked the data, and chose engagement over your well-being without losing a single night of sleep. Your attention span, that precious cognitive resource you were born with, has been quietly auctioned off to advertisers before you even finished your morning coffee. You are not the audience here. You are the inventory. The algorithm is not your friend curating content. It is a salesperson, and you are what is being sold. Let's talk about the slot machine you carry everywhere. Infinite scroll did not happen by accident. Asa Raskin, the designer who invented it, literally apologized for creating it, estimating it wastes about 200,000 human lifetimes worth of attention every single day. That should make you furious. Notification badges are designed using the same psychological principle as casino lights, creating urgency where none actually exists. The variable reward system, the same mechanism that keeps gamblers pulling levers, is exactly why you refresh your feed hoping something new appeared in the last 45 seconds. The red dot on your app icon is not informing you. It is summoning you. Pull to refresh mimics a slot machine pull deliberately. Every single feature you interact with was stress-tested, refined, and weaponized by teams of behavioral psychologists whose entire job was making sure you never put your phone down. Let's talk numbers because the platforms certainly don't want to. Facebook's own internal research, leaked in 2021, confirmed Instagram makes body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. They knew. They buried it. The American Psychological Association found that teens spending more than 3 hours daily on social media face double the risk of depression and anxiety symptoms. Double. A 2023 study across 41 countries linked heavy social media use directly to declining life satisfaction in adolescents. These aren't fringe findings from obscure journals. This is mainstream, peer-reviewed science that these billion-dollar companies actively suppressed, downplayed, and hired armies of lobbyists to discredit. Meanwhile, their engagement numbers kept climbing. Your mental health was simply collateral damage on their quarterly earnings report. Let us talk about something the platforms absolutely do not want you connecting the dots on. Echo chambers and filter bubbles are not unfortunate side effects of a flawed system. They are the system working exactly as intended. When you only see content that confirms what you already believe, you get angry faster, you stay longer, and you click more. That is not a coincidence. That is a business strategy. Every algorithm is quietly sorting you into an emotional tribe, feeding you content designed to provoke, not inform. Division is profitable. Outrage is profitable. Nuance, however, kills engagement. The more furious you are at the other side, the more time you spend on the platform proving them wrong. Congratulations, you just became the product and the unpaid content moderator simultaneously. Welcome to the most profitable theater on earth, where the stage is your phone screen and every actor insists they are just being themselves. Influencer culture did not accidentally emerge. It was carefully cultivated by platforms that realized ordinary people performing extraordinary authenticity was infinitely more persuasive than traditional advertising. Here is the genius scam at the center of it all. Corporations figured out that consumers trust people over brands, so they outsourced their marketing to humans, willing to monetize their entire existence. That spontaneous morning routine video, scripted, that candid vacation snapshot, shot 47 times, that heartfelt product recommendation, contractually obligated. Meanwhile, the platforms collect revenue from every sponsored post, every affiliate click, every manufactured vulnerable moment. Influencers sell you authenticity, brands sell you products, platforms sell you both, and somehow you keep buying all of it. Let's talk about the greatest hits nobody is proud of. Cambridge Analytica harvested 87 million Facebook profiles without consent and helped shape election outcomes. Yahoo lost 3 billion accounts in a single breach. Equifax exposed 147 million people's most sensitive financial data. Twitter sold user data to intelligence contractors. TikTok got caught accessing clipboard content repeatedly. Snapchat had its API exploited, leaking nearly 5 million accounts. And Instagram quietly collected biometric data from photos without disclosure. Notice anything? These are not glitches. These are not rogue employees having bad days. This is a pattern so consistent, so predictable, and so profitable that calling it accidental is genuinely insulting to your intelligence. Every scandal gets a sorry, a Senate hearing, and absolutely zero structural change. The breach is the business model wearing a disguise. Now let us talk about the people supposedly keeping these platforms in check. Governments, regulators, the brave guardians of democracy who once asked Mark Zuckerberg whether he knew what WhatsApp was. Inspiring stuff, truly. We have had congressional hearings where senators asked questions so painfully outdated that Silicon Valley executives had to physically stop themselves from laughing. These are the same lawmakers who print their emails and need their grandchildren to set up Wi-Fi, now tasked with regulating artificial intelligence-driven behavioral algorithms operating at planetary scale. The European Union deserves credit for actually trying with legislation like the General Data Protection Regulation. But even those efforts took years to implement, while platforms adapted faster than regulations could breathe. The uncomfortable truth is that by the time governments understand the problem, the technology has already moved 3 generations ahead. Regulation is arriving fashionably, catastrophically late. Oh, they heard you. They really did. And boy, did they respond. With a blog post. A beautifully formatted, carefully worded, absolutely meaningless blog post. Welcome to the golden age of performative accountability, where platforms get caught doing something catastrophic, and their solution is a press release and a slightly updated terms of service that nobody will ever read. Facebook rebrands to Meta, and suddenly the surveillance empire gets a fresh coat of futuristic paint. Twitter introduces a misinformation label while leaving the actual misinformation completely untouched. YouTube demonetizes a handful of creators and calls it a safety initiative. These are not solutions. These are distractions engineered by the same people who created the problems. Their transparency reports are not transparent. Their safety teams are understaffed by design. Their accountability is theater, and you are the audience they are counting on to applaud. Here is the uncomfortable truth nobody in Silicon Valley wants you sitting with. The current system is not inevitable. It is a choice, and choices can be unmade. Decentralized platforms like Mastodon exist where no single corporation owns your feed. Open-source social networks operate without advertising revenue, pulling the strings behind every post. Subscription-based models, yes, actually paying for platforms, eliminate the perverse incentive to weaponize your attention. Digital literacy education in schools could produce generations who question algorithms rather than blindly obey them. Antitrust enforcement could shatter these monopolies into actual competition. Data ownership laws could legally make your information yours again. None of this is science fiction. None of this requires waiting for a billionaire to have a conscience. The blueprint exists. The question is whether you are angry enough and smart enough to demand it. Here is the part nobody wants to hear. You watched this entire video, you nodded along, you felt the outrage building, and tomorrow morning you will open Instagram before you even get out of bed. That is the dirty secret of awareness without action. It means absolutely nothing. So here is your challenge. Spend 1 week actually tracking your screen time. Look at those numbers without flinching. Count how many times you opened an app out of pure habit rather than genuine intention. Ask yourself honestly what you actually gained from those hours. Because every single minute you spend scrolling is a vote. A vote that tells these corporations their system works perfectly. Your outrage is worthless if you keep feeding the machine that manufactured it. Awareness without behavior change is just another form of entertainment they profit from. And if this kind of straight talk about systems designed to quietly drain your resources resonates with you, then our next video is going to hit even harder. We are breaking down the Roth conversion window and the 10-year mistake that is costing retirees $200,000 or more in completely avoidable taxes. Most people retire and assume their financial plan is done. It is not. The decade between retirement and required minimum distributions is one of the most powerful and most wasted opportunities in personal finance. We will show you exactly how to use it, who is getting it wrong, and what intentional retirees are doing differently to keep hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the IRS's hands. Click the video on your screen right now. Your future self will thank you for it.